Hi, welcome to my Learning the Basics to Being Better series. This is another analogy that I use all the time with my clients. In this one, I'm going to talk about it in the video in terms of depression, but it really does work for a lot of other things. It works for anxiety, it works for grief, it works for a range of other concerns you might have going on. But for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to go with just depression. So oftentimes I will use the blanket analogy for people with depression. So when I say the blanket analogy, I say that depression, it sets in, it gets comfortable, we get used to it, and we get kind of stuck. So when you're in a depressed state, you get wrapped up in this blanket that kind of keeps you warm. It does a pretty good job, but maybe it's like a wool blanket that's kind of scratchy and kind of smelly, but you know, it's alright. It keeps you warm. Maybe you have to keep your feet really tucked in to keep your toes warm, but it's, you know, it's doing the job. And in my analogy, you're in a really huge room, and currently you're in the corner with your wool stinky blanket. And on the way other end of a very cold room with a very cold floor, there is the most wonderful blanket you've ever seen. It is soft and fleece and fuzzy, and it smells like lavender and happiness. But it's really far away. And in order to get to that blanket, you'd have to take off the wool one and leave it behind and walk in the cold, feel all exposed, and go get that other blanket. And if that's not hard enough to just get yourself to go through all the effort to get to the good stuff, once you have the good fleece blanket, then there's this fear comes in. What if this blanket's not here for me? What if someone's going to come and take this blanket back, and I'm going to have to go back to the old blanket? But not only do I have to go back to it, I have to cross the big, cold, unpleasant room and feel worse and worse before I can even get back to it. So a lot of times that makes us just stay with the less good blanket. You know, sure, it's smelly, it's scratchy, but I'm pretty warm. I'm just going to stick with this because I don't want to go through a lot of effort. I don't want the risk of having the good one and having to go back to this one. So I have a lot of clients who really identify with this, and then I start with the challenge of, okay, well, how is this blanket really working out for you? You know, are you really warm enough? Can you really handle this scratchy feeling forever? Or might it be worth it to try putting in all the effort to be uncomfortable? Because therapy is uncomfortable, challenging yourself is uncomfortable. It absolutely is. But it's got this potential to get really rewarding comfort, warmth, and just happiness. Literally happiness. And yeah, there's a fear that you might lose it, but if you lose it, you still had it for a while. You know, if I stay with this scratchy blanket, I am stuck feeling this way for forever. If I don't make a change, I will feel this way forever. But if I go and I get the good blanket and I have it for a while, even if something comes up and it gets taken away and I go back, I still had it. And oftentimes I have to remind people that, you know, you've probably had a better blanket before. You've probably been there and then you went back to the musky blanket because something came up, you know, you had a new stressor, someone hurt you. There are a lot of reasons that we go back, and then we have to keep crossing the room. We have to go through the effort, brave the cold, and go get the other blanket, because even if someone takes that one away, there's going to be another one. It's going to get replaced. There's going to be another option. And we have to challenge ourselves and understand that sometimes when we are depressed for a long time, it's because we got comfortable that way and we just can't even picture being otherwise. So that's my challenge, to try to figure out what your blanket looks like, where it is, how far you have to go, and really try to start challenging yourself to get there. Really question the one that you have right now. Is this really working out for me? Is this how I want to stay forever? Yeah, the other option is a whole lot of work, but it's actually kind of a lot of work to stay depressed too. And I'm going to talk about that on another day, but now is the time to start challenging yourself about what kind of blanket you want to be wrapped in, and what do you have to do to get to the better one.